welcome to another episode of Growth Digger, where we explore the intersection of technology, product thinking, and business growth. I'm Sumeet Rana, VP Technology. Today, we're discussing something that almost every business with a mobile app struggles with, not just building an app, but turning that app into a consistent revenue generating engine. Over the years, I've worked closely with businesses across industries, and one pattern is very clear. Companies invest heavily in building apps, but when it comes to monetization, the strategy is often unclear or delayed. To unpack this in detail, I'm joined by Akhil Yadav, Associate Director, Product. Akhil brings deep expertise in product strategy and has worked on designing monetization frameworks that balance user experience with business goals.
Thanks, Sumit. Really glad to be here. This is an important topic because monetization is not just about revenue, it's about designing the right value exchange between the product and the user.
Let's start with a fundamental question. We see millions of apps in the market, but only a small percentage actually generate meaningful revenue. Why do you think that happens?
In most cases, monetization is not built into the product thinking from the beginning. Teams focus heavily on features, UI, and launch timelines, but they don't clearly define how the app will generate revenue in a sustainable way. As a result, monetization is often introduced later, and when that happens, it feels forced. Users can immediately sense when something is disrupting their experience just for the sake of revenue.
So the problem is not monetization itself, but how and when it is introduced.
Exactly. If monetization is aligned with the user journey, it feels natural. If it's not, it leads to drop offs.
Let's define it clearly for our listeners. What exactly do we mean by app monetization?
App monetization is the process of generating revenue through your mobile application using different models like subscriptions, in app purchases, advertising, or partnerships. But beyond revenue, it also plays a strategic role. It helps businesses recover development costs, continuously improve the product, and invest in better user experiences over time.
So, in a way, monetization is what enables long term sustainability.
Absolutely. Without a clear monetization strategy, even a great app can struggle to scale.
Let's move into strategies. What's the first thing businesses should focus on?
One of the biggest mistakes is trying to build for everyone. Instead, apps should focus on a clearly defined niche with a strong problem solution fit.
Why does narrowing down the audience help monetization?
Because when the problem is specific, the value becomes clearer. For example, a general fitness app might struggle to convert users, but an app focused on stress management for working professionals can create much stronger willingness to pay.
So, clarity in audience leads to clarity in value.
Exactly. And that's where data becomes crucial. Understanding user behavior, needs, and pain points helps you design features people are actually willing to pay for.
Freemium has become almost the default model today. What makes it so effective?
The biggest advantage is that it reduces friction at the entry point. Users can experience the product without committing financially, which builds trust. However, the key is in how you design the free and paid layers. The free version should deliver real value, not just act as a teaser.
So, users should feel satisfied even without paying.
Yes, but also see a clear reason to upgrade. Take Spotify as an example. Users can listen to music for free, but ads, limited skips, and lack of offline access create a natural push toward premium.
So, there's a balance between value and friction.
Exactly. If users feel frustrated, they leave. If they feel value but see added benefits, they upgrade.
And subscriptions.
Subscriptions work best when the app delivers continuous value, like learning platforms, fitness apps, or productivity tools. When users see ongoing benefit, recurring payments feel justified.
Let's talk about advertising. It's one of the most common monetization methods, but also one of the most criticized.
That's true, and the reason is simple. Poor implementation. Users don't dislike ads, they dislike disruptive and irrelevant ads.
So, what's the right way to approach it?
Ads should feel like part of the experience, not interruptions. For example, reward based ads work very well in gaming apps. Users choose to watch an ad in exchange for something valuable, like extra lives or rewards.
So, it becomes a value exchange.
Exactly. Also, relevance is key. If ads align with user interest, they feel less intrusive and more useful.
In app purchases are evolving beyond gaming. How should businesses think about them today?
The key principle is to offer enhancements, not essentials. Core functionality should remain accessible, while paid features should elevate the experience.
Can you give some practical examples?
Sure. A photo editing app can offer basic filters for free but charge for premium filters. A business app can provide basic reports for free but charge for advanced analytics.
What about timing? When should users see these offers?
Timing is critical. You should introduce paid options after users have experienced value. For instance, after editing a photo, showing premium filters makes more sense than showing them upfront.
So the user already understands the benefit.
Exactly. At that point, it feels like an upgrade rather than a sales push.
Engagement is often talked about, but not always linked directly to monetization. How do you see that connection?
Engagement builds trust, and trust drives conversions. When users feel connected to your app, they're more likely to invest in it.
So it's not just about features.
Exactly. It's about creating an experience. Apps like Duolingo use gamification, streaks, leaderboards, rewards to keep users engaged.
And higher engagement means higher retention.
Yes, and retention directly impacts revenue. The longer users stay, the higher the chances they convert into paying users.
Let's talk about partnerships. How can they contribute to monetization?
Partnerships allow apps to expand their value proposition. For example, a travel app can partner with hotels or cab services to offer integrated solutions and earn through revenue sharing.
So it's about creating an ecosystem.
Exactly. It benefits both businesses and users.
And what about data monetization?
It can be powerful, but it must be handled carefully. Insights can be valuable, but user privacy should always be protected. Transparency is key here.
Even with the right monetization model, visibility is critical. How should apps approach promotion?
One effective approach is influencer marketing. Influencers already have audience trust, so partnering with the right ones can accelerate adoption.
So you're essentially borrowing trust.
Exactly. But it's important to choose influencers who align with your target audience.
And targeted promotion?
Very important. Reaching the right audience is more valuable than reaching a large audience.
Before we wrap up, what are some common mistakes businesses should avoid?
The biggest one is trying to monetize before delivering value. Another is blindly copying competitors without understanding their own audience. Also, ignoring data is a big mistake. Monetization strategies should evolve based on user behavior, not assumptions.
Let's close with key takeaways.
Start thinking about monetization early, focus on delivering value, and ensure the experience remains seamless.
And the golden rule?
If users enjoy the experience, they will be willing to pay for more.
That's a great note to end on. Monetization isn't about extracting value, it's about creating it in a way that users appreciate. Thanks, Akhil, for sharing such valuable insights.
Thanks, Sumit. It was a great discussion.
And to our listeners, focus on building value and revenue will follow. We'll be back soon with more insights. Until then, keep building and keep innovating.